Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a quick little video talking about something that has affected me for a really long time, and with NEDA month going on right now, I figured maybe this is the perfect time to shed some light on it. Really quick, I just want to show off my little buddy. This is my Golden Freddy Squishmallow. He is just so sweet. I'm a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan. And he's our guest of honor today, you guys. So he's going to be here with me while I talk about some of these struggles. First of all, I just want to say that this video is going to be something that is kind of a touchy subject. I am going to be talking about binge eating disorder. And so if you're in a position where, you're really sensitive to these topics, or you really just don't feel like you can, be around some of this stuff, you feel like it might trigger you, just please be cautious. Maybe don't watch the video at all. I'm not the kind of person who's going to really talk about a lot of crazy shit. I'm not going to show anything triggering, so just know that I'm trying my best to talk about the subject without hurting anybody who might be watching. So I want to talk about binging. I know there's kind of a difference between binging and binge eating disorder, so I'm going to kind of talk about how that came to be in my life. I'm 32 years old now. I grew up in a house that was not an ingredient household. We had TV dinners and snack foods, and my mom was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. She got us a lot of junk food, which I loved. I thought that was a great part of growing up, and most of my friends found that kind of nice too, because we always had some kind of snack in the house. And my mom has her own eating disorder. She's dieted a lot in her life. She's been really affected by her weight and things like that. And she's done a pretty good job of shielding me from it. But nonetheless, I did end up developing a lot of issues with food as I got older. When I was young, maybe like middle school, early high school, I definitely used food as a coping mechanism. I would definitely eat when I really wasn't hungry, just because there was nothing else to do. I mean, like I said, you guys, I'm 32 almost. There was no scrolling on TikTok back then. Your phone wasn't a source of entertainment. It was just you and maybe what was on the cable that day. But I got bored a lot as a kid. I mean, I would even call it bored hungry. And I don't know where I got that from, but I would use the term bored hungry where I just meant like, yeah, I'm gonna snack on something because there's really nothing else to do. And that was pretty normal for me. I definitely used food as something that kind of distracted me, especially with candy. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but I would eat candy in a very meticulous, slow way to really just like enjoy it for as long as possible. And food was a huge coping mechanism and distraction for me growing up. I would find myself eating things that I didn't necessarily want or necessarily crave, but it was there and it was something to eat, and that was enough. It wasn't until I got into my early adulthood when my eating disorder really started to get bad that binging in a really uncomfortable and shameful way started to take place. When I was first kind of going through my restrictive habits, and I was losing weight, and I was very careful about what I ate. At the time, I was on the paleo diet. I would not suggest this diet if you have any kind of history with eating issues. It's extremely restrictive. It is meant to be anti-inflammatory. It's supposed to help with pain, but unfortunately, I took it way too far. And so I started experiencing what I would consider real binging around this time. My diet was very restrictive. Everything had to be whole foods. Everything had to be fresh. Everything had to be cooked. Nothing came from a box or a bag or anything like that. Nothing processed, no bread. It was hard, man. And so when I would have these moments of just like the fuck-its is what I would call it, where I was like, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want to eat. I don't care. I would normally, actually 10 times out of 10, I would go for the foods I didn't allow myself. So that would be like chips, cereal, peanut butter, Nutella, cookies, candy. I mean, donuts, like anything you can imagine. I mean, I would just go absolutely hamsies on, and it was pretty bad at first, because I knew I'm not supposed to be eating these foods. This goes against my food rules, and, and the shame was really bad. But I kind of continued down this path of restriction that was not good for me, and eventually it got to the point where I was binging so bad that I was eating foods that were, not even really snack foods, like just any kind of weird shit I could find in my house that I could consume. I would. Like, it wouldn't even be things that I liked or things that I wanted. It was always foods that were just easy to grab, easy to get, you know, and I would eat. I would feel no real satisfaction. I would feel full, technically, but the fullness never deterred me. It never made me think, okay, I'm good now. The mental satisfaction of binging was always just out of my reach. So whenever I felt full and I felt kind of sick, I would move on to something different, and then I would finish that off, and then I would move on to something different, and I would finish that off. And I mean, it was just really catastrophic. It was getting to a point where I was so full and nauseous and sick from just this crap that I was putting in my body. I would be on my hands and knees on the floor, fetal position. I could barely breathe. It was so hard to breathe. I mean, God, you felt like you were just gonna either explode or vomit. It hurt so bad that I almost felt like I needed to be hospitalized over it, but it was so embarrassing. Like, how do you explain that to someone? Like, oh, I lost control and ate so much that I feel like I'm gonna die now. Like your heart hurts. Like, it's so indescribable. Unless you've really had a real fucking binge, it's so hard to explain to someone how painful and uncomfortable this feeling is. And not only that, but the next morning would come if I'd survive the night in horrible, grotesque pain and agony. And then you wake up the next day and there's wrappers everywhere, there's empty boxes, there's empty containers, there's food everywhere. I mean, I wouldn't wish the morning after a binge on my worst enemy. It was horrific. I mean, the shame I would feel from looking at all the shit that I consumed and knowing that I did it all and none of it even satisfied me. Like, I ran out of food. I didn't reach a point where I was satisfied. I would just run out of food, period. That was it. There was nothing left for me to eat. And that was horrifying, because the whole point of my restrictive eating is that I was trying to maintain control. And binging is something that is so scary, because even when you're doing it, even when you're putting the food in you're in that moment, you really don't want to be. You don't want to be doing that. You wish you could stop, but the drive and the compulsion to eat when you are not even hungry is so strong. It's almost impossible to ignore it. Like, it's almost impossible. And to not act on it feels like misery, and then to act on it is the worst regret ever. And it's honestly like a nightmare. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And as I had to get over all of that, I had to recover. I had to eventually, enter some kind of quasi recovery and gain weight. When I was first gaining that weight, I mean, my extreme hunger was off the charts. It felt like I was binging. It felt like I was doing something wrong, but at the end of the day, I had to accept that my body is desperate for this food, and I have not been giving it to it for months and months. Like, I'm gonna feel hungry, and I have to somehow give myself what I need without it turning into binging. And that's really, really tough. And I think that a lot of the time that's why, you do want to seek professional help for these things, but in the world we live in, that's almost impossible. It's either impossible to get services because of money, or it's because there's a waiting list, or you don't meet criteria. I've never received professional help for my eating disorders, ever. And I'm lucky to even be going to counseling right now. I go to free counseling that's in this building in my city, and I'm tremendously lucky to even have that. But to find true professional help for this it's so difficult, and it's out of reach for a lot of people. And it's a really tricky tightrope to walk. I mean, eventually, as I've recovered and I've gained weight and I've gotten to a point where, I'm able to enjoy foods without going insane. And sometimes I have a day where, I eat too much, and or I just, maybe not too much, but I eat a lot. I eat a lot for what I normally eat. And not having to restrict myself the next day or punish myself is something that really is new for me, and I feel accomplished because of that. I mean, I remember the worst binge I ever had years ago. It was so horrific, and my shame was so horrible that I ended up putting a word into my leg that's not very nice, because at that point I was really convinced if only I could just get it through to myself that maybe I would stop doing this, and I wanted to punish myself for it, and I wanted to do whatever was possible to get me to just stop acting this way. And something I wish someone had told me back then was it's not your fault that you're going through this. Like, you didn't ask for this. No one who has binge eating disorder asks to be this way. It's so lonely and isolating and horrific dealing with these symptoms. It's so hard to explain to another person what's going on if they haven't really dealt with it themselves. Because I feel like food and dieting in our normal society is, you know, it's glamorized in a way, it's normalized, and so it is difficult to kind of explain to people why what you're going through isn't normal and that it needs help and it needs attention. In no way am I cured now, if I'm being honest. I deal with horrific night eating syndrome issues. I get really, really hungry at night. A medication that I take makes me really hungry at night. And honestly, no matter what I do eat during the day or don't eat during the day, the evening always ends the same. It's me unable to get a full night's sleep because the binge monster in my brain makes me, it feels like this anyway, makes me get up out of a heavy sleep and tells me, go eat, you need to eat, you need to eat. No matter how comfortable or tired I am, that voice is so loud that I can't even ignore it. And so I get up in the night really often and I eat and I eat and I eat and I eat. And it's exhausting because I have not been getting good sleep at all for months now. Months I have not gotten decent sleep. It's something that's really, really hard. Sorry, my video cut out, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, you guys, is that binging really is just not talked about enough. I really think that the stigma behind it is so negative, and people really honestly feel like it's a self-control issue, and it's not. It has so much more to do than your ability to say no to food. And I wish it was that simple, but it's just not. A lot of the time it has to do with, you know, trauma that's in our body, our need to escape, our need to find comfort, because maybe we're not getting it in the real world. Maybe there is no one there that we can talk to, and food is there. Food is consistently there for us. And how do you leave a relationship like that behind? How do you can't be abstinent from food. You have to eat to survive. And so I just feel like it's such a difficult path to walk, and I wanted to come on here and talk about my struggles and point out that I'm still not cured. I don't know how to cure it, and it's an everyday battle, and you're not alone, and you're not weird for going through this. You don't have a lack of self-control. It's not your fault, and you do deserve to have a healthy relationship with food, and you deserve to feel safe in your body and in your life without needing food as a crutch. And during NEDA week, I just hope everyone knows how much they're cared for and how worthy you are, and that, you know, we can get through this, and it really is just one day at a time. And I'm just thinking of everyone out there who is really struggling with this and feels isolated and feels like they don't fit in because of it. I see you and I relate to you. And if you guys want to drop a comment below about some of your experiences, I would really, really love to hear what binge eating has been for you guys. Or maybe if you have an eating disorder that's not talked about a lot, like maybe you have ARFID, or you know, you have something else that, you know, just flies below the radar of the typical anemia stuff we normally see online. You know, your voice should be heard, and I hope you feel comfortable enough sharing that with me. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here because I have no storage on my phone, you guys. But have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll probably be back on eventually to upload some more. And just know that we're going to get through it one day at a time, my friends. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.